This is the quietest keyboard I have ever used. It features 3 layers of sound-absorbing pads, as well as super flexible gasket mounts to deliver a clear, creamy sound. What's up everyone, Moonrider here, and this is the Eisa K686 Pro from Redragon, and they sent it over for me to give my personal thoughts on. Now of course the K686 Pro isn't just a one-trick pony. It also features some Redragon branded pre-lubed linear red switches, 3-mode wireless connectivity, a 3000 mAh battery, dedicated control knob, and if you fancy swapping out those factory red switches, the board is hot swappable. But that's just the basics, so let's take a closer look and see if the Eisa K686 Pro is worth its $64.99 asking price. First thing that came to mind when I picked this thing up was, holy crap, this is light as F. I soon found out it was flexible as F too, but being a gasket mount design, you want some flexibility and bounce to absorb those key presses. Of course, that means plastic. Lots of plastic. But it's not bad. I've seen blander, all plastic keyboards. At least it looks like Redragon put in some effort to make the plastic case look presentable. They gave it a multicolored design scheme consisting of off-white mixed with dark blue accents. And in fact, the entire bottom half of the case is this same dark blue color. Now, this isn't a brand new design for Redragon. It's actually almost identical to the K673 UCal, only this has a full number pad. But the design of the case is the same, and I'm not judging. I like the ridge look it has, bordering around the keys. It helps to give the board some depth, especially when you notice the ridge is actually glossy compared to the matte finish on the rest. Keycaps don't get much coverage on Redragon's site or on the Amazon listing, so I assume they're ABS plastic, but they do allow for RGB pass-through from those north-facing LEDs. While the legends themselves are pass-through, most of the sub-legends are not. However, compared to a few other keyboards I've reviewed, the sub-legends are a lot more flush to the keycap, to the point that I can barely feel them, except the command and option sub-legends. Those I can definitely feel. Still, this is of course way better than the sub-legends that feel almost like they're wax stripped on, because they're so thick on the keycap. These are good though. They're very legible and their color contrasts well with the off-white keycap without being too bold. Meanwhile, the sub-legends on the number pads are actually pass-through. However, being south of the LED, these don't light up as well as the legends. Now, similar to the keycap material, Redragon doesn't specify the keycap profile, but I would say it's pretty similar to a cherry profile. I actually really like their angle for typing as well as gaming. My fingers don't slide off the keycaps, as they do feel a bit textured and they are a bit concave as well, which helps with finger grip. But if you find yourself craving even more of an angle, the K686 Pro is equipped with 2-stage kickstand feet, giving you 2 height adjustments, or keep it flat and secured in place with the rubber pads on the bottom. Alright, let's talk switches and sound dampening. I mentioned earlier these are Redragon branded linear red switches, but I wonder if they're just a slightly tweaked out Temu or something like that. Now that's all speculation and I could very well be wrong, but the reason I'm saying this is because they don't really go into much detail about the switches, nor do they provide any specs on said switches, as if they're an unimportant afterthought. Meanwhile, their K656 Eisa Pro has custom switches that Redragon mentions were developed and produced by them, and full performance specs are provided. But maybe these were developed and produced by Redragon. Regardless, I really like these switches, but that's just my opinion since they can't show you any specs. I actually really have been enjoying them. They're very light, very smooth and responsive, and very quiet while still sounding fantastic thanks to those 3 layers of sound absorbing padding. Have a listen for yourself. Those 3 layers of padding really make a difference, and not only that, but the thermoplastic gasket mounts too. While the switches sound great, it's the internal padding that really brings it all home. But back to the switches, there are definitely more creamy switches out there, but I still like how these sound. I've actually had this keyboard now for a month, and I use it a lot. It provides a very pleasant typing experience, but where it really shines for me is gaming. And that's because these switches are so light and quiet. I mean, in terms of noise level, who wants to be that friend on chat bashing loud as F keys and getting on your squad's last nerve? It's the reason I don't game with my Eisa Pro. I adore those custom purple tactiles on that thing, but they're just too thocky. and heavy. Not only will my friends hear it over chat, but my fingers get tired pressing those heavy tactiles. With the Eisa, I don't experience nearly as much finger fatigue, which is why this has become my go-to gaming keyboard. If you want a creamier sounding set, the sockets on the Eisa are compatible with almost all 3 and 5 pin switches. Just plug them out with the included keycaps and switch puller. Now, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that the Eisa Pro has 3-mode wireless connectivity. This is a similar feature on a lot of keyboards now that are around this price point. And much like the rest, your choices are wired USB-C, which one does come included with the keyboard, and also wireless 2.4 GHz mode and Bluetooth 3.0 and 5.0 for connecting to any device from a PC to your phone or tablet. When using wired mode, simply plug in the USB-C cable and connect it to your PC and it'll boot right up. It doesn't matter if the mode switch on the left side is set to off, 2.4G, or BT. Once it's plugged in, you are good to go. The other modes can be activated by sliding the switch to your desired mode of connection. For 2.4G mode, you'll need to plug the USB dongle receiver into your PC, which you can find tucked in its cubby on the right side of the keyboard. Also, for you Mac users, you can switch the Eisa Pro from Windows to Mac system with the switch located on the left side of the keyboard. The Eisa Pro has Option and Command keys recognized as sublegends on the Win, Alt, and right control keys. And while we're back on the subject of sublegends, you can find some RGB controls assigned to the arrow keys, as well as backspace, insert, and page up. All these can be activated by first pressing and holding the function key. For instance, function plus up and down arrow keys adjust brightness. Function plus left and right arrow keys adjust pattern speed. Function plus backspace turns all off until you press function plus insert to cycle through different patterns. And function plus page up cycles through different colors. Of course, you can also control backlighting with the knob at the top right by pressing function plus down on the knob to switch between audio and backlight controls. With backlight controls active, you can adjust brightness by turning the knob and cycle through patterns by pressing it. If you want even more control over the RGB backlighting, you can also download the software from redragonshop.com. The software also gives you access to key assignments, macros, of course RGB, but also some special settings. Clicking on the top icon on the left, you can activate Tap, which sounds performance oriented, but I actually have no idea what it does, as it doesn't specify. You can turn on and adjust the sleep timer to save some battery, and there's a debound setting that can adjust from 1 to 5 stages. If you're looking to individually assign RGB to particular keys, you can do so under light effects and clicking self-define. All the other options are what you cycle through with function plus insert. So now that we've taken a closer look at the Eisa K686 Pro, do I recommend it? The short answer is yes. As for justifying the price, that's up for you to decide. But I think the Eisa K686 Pro really offers great value for money. Keep in mind it offers loads of features like hot swappable capabilities, bright customizable RGB backlighting, an audio and RGB control dial, cushy gasket mounts, 3 layers of sound absorbing padding, smooth linear switches, and convenient wireless connectivity either for on the go or just for keeping your desk setup cable free. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure it can't compete with those truly custom built keyboards or the elite brands like Wu-Ting, and if that's the quality you're looking for, you're gonna have to spend way more than $64.99. But for keyboards in this price bracket, the Eisa K686 Pro seems to be a solid contender, and one that I intend to continue to use in my setup.